What you are about to experience is out of this world. Politics, history, and of course, a lot of entertainment. It's time to rock it with the Docket.
It's July, which means it's the first ever Dockery Docket America Month. To celebrate, we will be looking at interesting facts across the United States and its history. Here come some facts now! Grover Cleveland was a very interesting president. First, he was the only president, as of the recording of this video, that served 2 non-consecutive terms, making him both the 22nd and 24th president of the United States. However, in his second term, he noticed that there was a bump on the roof of his mouth. At first, he was like, whatever, but then it started to grow bigger and bigger. So his doctor checked it out and claimed that it was cancer. As the doctor said, "It's a bad-looking tendon, and I would have to evict it immediately." I don't know why he talks like that, but just go along with it. So you would think that the president would be honest and tell the American people that he was sick and he needed to get surgery so then he could get better for the American people. No, he didn't want to cause a panic, so he decided to hide his surgery. He told the American people that he was going on a fishing trip on his friend's yacht. On that yacht, there was a team of 6 doctors, and they were able to remove the tumor in 90 minutes. And it is even on display in a museum today. Isn't that absolutely crazy that they did a surgery on a boat to keep it a secret? One rough wave, and the president could have had more injuries. They could have ruined his mustache. It was an incredible feat to hide this from the American people. And they did it for so long too. There were rumors, but the American people didn't even notice because to keep the facade going, he had a partial created for the part of his jaw that was removed from the surgery, so his face wouldn't even sink in, and he just looked like a regular president. It really makes you wonder what else politicians are hiding from us. Even though Grover Cleveland survived this ordeal, we can still all agree that cancer sucks. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are here with our very 101st episode of the Dockery Docket. I'm excited to be here, and I hope that you are excited to be here as well. And if you are excited to be here as well, make sure to go down below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, so then you never miss one of my videos. So, in the 2001 cinematic classic known as Shrek, there was a scene where Shrek was trying to pick who was going to go with him to see Lord Farquaad to get the fairy tale creatures off of his land. He asks, "Who can help me?" Donkey jumps up and down and says, "I can help, I can help." Shrek says, "Can anyone else help me?" Donkey continues to yell, "Me, me, me." And Shrek finally has to pick him to go on the journey with him. Now, I talk about that extremely wonderful clip because it explains what the Democrats are going through right now, as Shrek is the Democratic Party, who's asking who wants to run for president. And Donkey is Joe Biden saying, "Me, I want to, I want to." And the Democratic Party is like, how about we pick someone else, please? Can someone else please run for president besides Joe Biden? Joe Biden has claimed so many times that he wants to run for president in 2024, but the Democrats keep on asking, what if you don't? What if you just stood aside and we can pick someone else? And Joe Biden is like, "No, I want to run for president, I can do it, but please let me run." However, more and more polls and more Democratic pundits are coming out and saying that Joe Biden needs to step aside, and there needs to be new blood in the Democratic Party and also in politics. Here's the thing, this might not be very shocking to you, but Joe Biden is very old. Right now, Joe Biden is 79 years old, and if he wins re-election, he will be 82 years old. And when he leaves office, if he wins re-election, he will be 86 years old. He'll be closer to 90 years old than 80. We all know that as people get older, their mental capacity isn't as strong. And that's nothing against Joe Biden. That's just human nature. The thing is, the presidency is a very taxing job. Looking at pictures of past presidents from when they were inaugurated to when they left office, we can see that the stress of the presidency has put on them. George Bush and Barack Obama both had their full head of hair, and they had good hair color too, and they had barely any wrinkles. But after their presidency, they were gray and they looked older. Now I get it. A lot can happen to your body in 8 years. I mean, 8 years is a long time, but still the job is taxing on the human body. You have to fly to different places, and there are different crises all over the place. It's not good for a president to not be sharp in those situations. Because of his age and other things that we will talk about, 2/3 of Democrats want the Democrats to pick a new nominee for 2024. Now, the media got a hold of this new poll data, and they decided to ask Joe Biden about how it feels that 2/3 of Democrats want someone new for the 2024 election. And Joe Biden snapped. It's kind of funny. Just take a look at this.
Democrats who don't want you to run again.
They want me to run.
2/3 say they
Read
don't.
the polls. Read the polls, Jack. You guys are all the same. That poll showed that 92% of Democrats, if I ran, would vote for me.
A majority of Democrats say they don't want you to run again in 2024.
92% said if I did, they'd vote for me.
First of all, I have no idea who Jack is. I don't know why he is standing so close to the camera. Please, Mr. President, back up. Now, we have to do a little bit of debunking. As Joe Biden is kind of right, as he gets this 92 number from a poll from Democrats on if they would vote for Joe Biden if it was Joe Biden versus Donald Trump in the election. However, Joe Biden ignores the poll that we are talking about, that 2/3 of Democrats, meaning 64%, want the party to pick someone different in the primaries. So if Joe Biden wins the primary, Democrats for some reason will vote for him, but 2/3 of them want someone different. And this will make for a very interesting primary season for the Democrats. As right now the country is in shambles, as 13% said that the nation is on the right track, which is the lowest that poll has been since the 2008 financial crisis. And speaking of finances, Joe Biden has hurt this economy. You know what? I'm going to say that Joe Biden has killed this economy. As according to the poll that we were talking about, 32% of people say they would like someone different because of Joe Biden's job performance. Now, who would blame the American people for thinking that Joe Biden is doing a terrible job? As U.S. inflation has risen to 9.1%, that is a 4-decade peak. And that is also the biggest yearly increase since 1981. That's absolutely terrible. Now, we have talked about inflation in the past, which basically I told you all of this was going to happen way back in the past. Go watch those videos. But anyway, to get a better grip on what inflation is, I have a quote from Henry Hazlitt, who wrote many books about this idea of inflation. He said, "When the supply of money is increased, people have more money to offer for goods. If the supply of goods does not increase, or does not increase as much as the supply of money, then the prices of the goods will go up. A price is an exchange ratio between a dollar and a unit of goods. When people have more dollars, they value each dollar less. Goods then rise in price, not because goods are scarcer than before, but because dollars are more abundant. Right now, we have too much money in the system, and it is hurting us. To fix this, we have to stop printing out so much money, and we need to start paying off our debt. But we can't do that as Biden wants to continue to spend more and more and more money." Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, if inflation means that we are printing more money, when was it that this country started printing a ton of money? When did this inflation crisis start? Well, I have 3 words for you. American Rescue Plan. The American Rescue Plan was passed in March of 2021, and in a recent report, Morgan Stanley explained that the inflation that Joe Biden insisted was impossible was primarily due to the excessive physical stimulus provided during the pandemic, partially the last $1.9 trillion package at the end of March 2021, just as the economy was already emerging from the lockdowns, which the outfit judged was what turbocharged consumption and drove inflation to a 40-year high. Now, the Democrats will run around and say, this whole inflation stuff isn't Joe Biden's fault, it's all Putin's fault. These people fail to realize that inflation was rising way before Putin attacked Ukraine, as the American Rescue Plan was passed in March of 2021. And when inflation started to rise, the Democrats had other things to blame besides Joe Biden or his failure of economic policy. They said that inflation was a result of a strengthening economy. That was a lie. Then they said that there was no serious economist who worried about inflation. That was also a lie. They also claimed that inflation was only affecting the high class, so people in the lower class will be fine. That was a lie as well. You see it at the grocery store. You see it at the gas station. Then, last but not least, which this one is my favorite, they said that this inflation and the rise of all these prices was expected and was temporary and transitory. However, all of these things were stated before the price index went up to 9.1%, and before Putin invaded Ukraine. So they have no excuse here. Now, Putin doesn't get a pass, as what he did was stupid and deadly, and yes, that did cause prices to rise. But it wasn't the main reason. It was just another reason added on to another reason, almost like a snowball effect. The problem just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger as time went on. It was Joe Biden's policies, along with situational things that were happening in the world, that led to inflation to rise and led to prices rising. This is also the same thing with the gas prices. You're right, the president doesn't control the gas prices, but there are certain policies that he can put into place that will hurt us from getting gas. When Joe Biden entered office, he wanted to change the country, and he wanted to make us more green. There were a lot of things that Joe Biden did to make us more green, and all of them hurt our oil production. On his very first day in office, he signed an executive order that got rid of the Keystone XL pipeline. And then he decided to halt new oil and gas leases, meaning that people weren't authorized to explore land to find gas and oil. Then he took a step further and took 30% of land off limits to get oil and gas. Then he stopped drilling in the Arctic. Then he stopped drilling in Chase Canyon. Along with that, many of Trump's acts were overturned, like the national gas regulations that made it easier for companies to drill and get oil without the government bothering them. All of these things led to the gas prices to rise before Putin even invaded Ukraine. Once again, the invasion of Ukraine did cause gas prices to rise, but the gas prices were already going up before the invasion happened. Once again, it is a snowball of bad green policy and bad circumstances that led to the gas prices to go up. And if we were able to drill more in America, we could have cut off Russia 100%. No more oil from Russia. Zero. Zilch. And we'd be able to use our own oil, our own forms of energy, and we would probably be fine. Remember, we used to be energy independent before Joe Biden came into office. Okay, so let's say that Joe Biden reads the writing on the wall and he says, I'm going to step down. Who would take his place? Well, I made a little list of people that could replace him, and guess what? They are all just as bad as Joe Biden. The first choice is Kamala Harris, the current vice president. She should be a shoo-in. But have you listened to her talk? She also has a terrible record as Attorney General in California, where she kept people in jail and used them to fight forest fires. That's basically slavery. Next, we have Pete Buttigieg, current transportation secretary. Now, he scares me a little bit because I believe that he is the only one in this administration that is articulate, even if he's talking about how you should protest Supreme Court justices while they are eating steak with their family. And the thing about Mayor Pete is that he's only popular because he's gay. I'm sorry, but it's true. He did nothing in South Bend, Indiana, and he is not popular with the African American community. Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California. Man, this guy is terrible. He's a hypocrite who locked down his state and continued to have parties and eat out. He was almost recalled because of that. He also recently created some law that said you can't use taxpayer dollars to go to a red state because red states are terrible and they have abortion and they're evil. And then he vacationed in Montana, the exact state where he said not to go to. He's also making videos for people in Florida begging them to come back to California. They left that state for a reason, Gavin. Gretchen Whitmer, the current governor of Michigan, is the same story. She did a terrible job with COVID. She sent sick people into nursing homes, and one of those older people was beaten up by a teenager. She also banned fishing, seeds, and paint because they were non-essential. I remember the aisles of paint and seeds being blocked off because of COVID. She also told us that she would fix the roads. And I live in Michigan. They aren't fixed. What about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a member of Congress in New York? Well, she is as dumb as a box of rocks. Just listen to her talk and you will know what I mean. There is also some governor from Illinois, I think his name is J.T. Pritzker? But anyway, he is going on TV and is saying things like, well, our state is going to be an abortion paradise. So if you like that, vote for him, I guess. And if you don't like any of these people, you can still pick Joe Biden. The Joe Biden of high gas and food prices. The Joe Biden with a cracked out son who has done some shady things with Ukraine. Or the Joe Biden with a wife who said that Mexicans were as diverse as breakfast tacos. Yes, that is a true story. I say all of this to say that the Democrats are screwed. However, this is the first time I am making predictions on 2024, so things could change. There are other people that could throw their hat in the ring, and it is way too early to predict who will be the Democratic nominee. Now, you thought this whole episode was going to be about Joe Biden and Democrats in 2024. Well, you're wrong. Are the Republicans any better? Right now, there is a 99.9999999% chance that Donald Trump will run for president in 2024. And there are many news articles that are running right now that say he has made a choice on if he's going to run, but he doesn't know when he will announce. Will he announce before the midterms or after? However, age is also a problem with Donald Trump as well. Yes, Biden makes Trump look younger, but if Trump runs in 2024, he will be 78 years old. And when he leaves office, if he wins the election, he will be 82 years old. Once again, if Joe Biden is too old, then Trump might be a little bit too old as well. Trump also has a lot of baggage that he hasn't dealt with yet. If Trump gets the nomination, he will run on the platform that the past election was stolen from him, when he should be pointing at Biden and his policies and saying he wants to fix those problems. People are sick and tired of talking about the last election. They just want mean tweets and cheap gas. They want the economy that Donald Trump had before COVID hit. There is also the baggage of January 6th, which the Democrats will use as a way to stop Trump, and they will repeat the lies over and over and over again. Like Trump grabbed a steering wheel and tried to choke out a Secret Service agent because they wouldn't take him back to the Capitol. They will continue to say that Donald Trump told people to go into the Capitol and kill people, which isn't true. There has been zero evidence from the January 6th committee that says anything like that. But they will continue those lies, and it could lead to Donald Trump's downfall. However, the problem is if Trump runs, a lot of popular Republicans will back off, because Trump still has a lot of power in the Republican Party. However, I think that even if Trump runs, people like Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland, will run, even though he is extremely liberal, and he would get blown out in an election. Trump would handle him super duper easily. I don't even think he would win a state. I also believe that Mike Pence, the former vice president, will run as well. I personally like Mike Pence. I even got his autograph. I found him very calming in the Trump administration. He is a great debater, but he has baggage with January 6th. And some people in the party don't like him because he did his job on January 6th and certified the election. Listen, Pence couldn't just throw out votes like they wanted him to. And also, I think Donald Trump would beat him in a primary, and he would probably lose the general election because there are a lot of lies that are being spread about him as well. Okay, so in a surprise decision, Trump says that he is not going to run for president, which would be earth-shattering. Who will replace him? Well, we have Greg Abbott, the longtime governor of Texas. He has tried really hard to keep the Texas border under control, But he has had some trouble with electricity, which people weren't very happy about and blamed the governor for that. This is also true with Ted Cruz, who sparked controversy for going to Cancun when there was a major ice storm and power outage. Also, I'm not sure if Ted Cruz has what it takes to be president. I'm sorry, Ted, I love you, but I just don't see it. Then we have the person that I think should run even if Trump decides to run. This, of course, is Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is like Trump in a lot of ways. He's able to stand up to the media. He's able to get his point across smoothly and professionally. And I think he would do a great job at defending his actions in Florida. The governor experience is something that I like as well. I say that he should run even if Trump runs because he has said multiple times that he won't run if Trump runs. He might want to run for a second term in Florida as well. However, if he and Trump are both running, I think Republicans will be happy because there is new young blood in the game. And if Trump and DeSantis were to debate in the primaries, that would be incredible as the American people can decide who they want to win. It would also make the winner of that debate more powerful as it would get new ideas out into the public. And even if Ron DeSantis loses, he could still help Donald Trump because I think the seat for VP is open. A Trump-DeSantis ticket would be a dream come true. Trump could show DeSantis the ropes, and then in 2028, Ron DeSantis could run on his own and become the president, continuing the legacy of Donald Trump. Now, this may just be a dream of mine and it might not happen at all, but it is a very tough choice. But it is a tough choice between DeSantis and Trump. But I think that if I had to pick, I would honestly pick DeSantis. And if DeSantis lost the primary and it was Trump versus Biden, I would definitely vote for Donald Trump. Because right now, I can't handle Biden at all. A ham sandwich could probably beat him. In the end, Joe Biden has hit rock bottom. As right now, if we look at his total average approval, it is at 38.5%. And there was one poll that only gave him a 33% approval rating. This is absolutely rock bottom. This is the lowest of the low. Trump didn't even get an approval rating that low. Along with that, I think that the consensus for both parties is that they want someone younger to take the party mantle and run with that. Who are those people? We have no idea. But I think that people have learned from Joe Biden. And they have learned that if you elect someone that ran for president in their basement and barely did anything, he would do the exact same thing when he was in the Oval Office. Now, the presidential election is still 2 years away, so all of this could change. But I think it'll be interesting to see what will happen in the future. We still have the midterm elections, which will also be interesting. But that may just be another episode. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.